remember that day pretty well?
Yeah. Well, up to the point that they sedated me in the in the ambulance to get me to the helicopter.
So it was just a normal work day where you were at work, right?
Yes, I was at work. We've been building a fence for a while, and so I went up, got another guy to come down and help me. We were going to use the loader and push the post in a little bit and make sure it was set good. We just used the bottom of the bucket, put it on top of the post, and just push down a little bit. And we started pushing down, and all of a sudden I seen a flash kind of out of my eye, and excuse me, and then I felt something hit me, and I went to the ground. I looked up, and I was looking around to find out what had happened, and I seen that bell tie sticking through me and into the ground, and everybody started screaming and running, calling 911, and I was stuck there, and so I couldn't move, and got a few guys there, and they were just helping to support it and trying to keep me calm, and then the ambulance and the fire department and life flight all showed up within about 2 minutes of each other. And a total time of, by now, probably 10 minutes, maybe 12. And I was still coherent through all of it. And they kept trying to figure out how to do it, and the fire department didn't have anything to cut that with. And of course, the life flight or nobody else did, and so the guys from our shop went up and brought down a cutting torch, and a couple of guys supported me, and then they drenched a pair of coveralls in water and put it over my back to keep me from getting burnt. And somehow we picked up a jar of some sort of paste that's a heat dissipating paste, and they wrapped it around it right above my back, and there was I think two guys holding me, and then somebody cut it, and as soon as it was cut off, they flipped the rest of it out of there and pulled me out, laid me down on the ground. And the whole time they'd been putting in all the IVs and everything. And then they got me over to the ambulance, and the last thing I remember hearing or anything was just telling me that it was going to be okay, that they had given me something to relax, and that's it.
So once it went in, you were standing, or you said it was stuck in the ground? Were you lying down?
No, I was standing up before when it broke off, and then it slid through, and I was kneeling on one knee. These tines are actually about a little over 4 foot long, and so they were held up, kind of, I don't know, basically a 45-degree angle or something. And so I was supported up by it too until they cut it loose right above me. So.
You were conscious through this whole thing?
Yes, ma'am.
In shock?
I'm assuming that. I don't know how else I'd have been able to get through it, because.
So you said you felt like you thought something happened, but you didn't actually feel it when it first happened?
No. I just remember getting hit a little bit and went down, and then I knew something had happened. And so I was looking around to figure out what was going on, and seen the hay tying in me, and went a little crazy for a few minutes, and then they started trying to get me to settle down, and then everybody started showing up and trying to get me out. So.
At any point did you feel like intense pain?
No.
You didn't feel pain?
No.
So what were your initial thoughts once you realized what had happened?
I was pretty scared. I mean, it's pretty mind-boggling and pretty scary to know what it is that's sticking through you, and know that there was quite a bit of weight behind it still, So.
When did you fully realize what happened?
Oh, within, I don't know, 20 seconds of it, seeing the flash out of the corner of my eye of when it come off and started falling. So it was pretty quick.
How did it come off exactly? Do you know?
Nobody knows, because I had used that loader that morning at least 2 times, because I put a bell or a trailer up on some straw so we could sandblast it, and then I moved a couple of bales of straw around, and with the same loader, and then I went over and parked it so I could get somebody to help me. So.
So was it safe to say that had you guys not had equipment to maybe cut that off, and the other, you said that the water and the gel, it may not have turned out as well, we wouldn't maybe get here as quickly?
I would say so, yes, because it just, everything just happened right in place, so.
Cool. And the dudes that help you were guys you work with?
Yes.
Okay.
And it didn't hit your spine, from what I understand? Did it just go right through your back and stomach, or?
They said it just nicked the spine and knocked a few, I don't know what they're called, do you remember? A few little prongs off the side.
Yeah, the smaller bones that stick off of this, in between the vertebrae, the 3 small bones that hang off the side. It basically kind of bounced off of that. It broke those and bounced off of the spine. It didn't hit the cord.
So it's like a pencil, so it just
Yep.
made its way right.
Yeah.
It had that sharp
Yes.
edge, that's how it was able to lodge in. And I mean, was it lodged in such a way that you weren't bleeding? You know.
I think so, because I never saw any blood come out the front. And I could feel a little moisture on my back, but it was very little. I mean, I never got a heat sensation, like it was bleeding profusely or anything. So.
Do you know what happened once you arrived here at the hospital?
I don't. I don't have any recollection of anything until like 4 days afterwards, I think.
They kept you sedated for 4 days.
I believe so.
So when it first happened, were you able to move, or were people constantly just telling you to stop so that they could get crews to help you?
Everyone was just telling me to stop and relax, trying to help me breathe. There was one guy that was trying to help support me because I didn't have really any way of controlling myself other than leaning into the fork, which would have started probably, I guess, could have tore more, but.
That's 100+ pounds of
Yes.
weight added to your body. So do you remember just feeling this intense amount of weight, or you don't remember that?
I remember some pressure there. I mean, but it's similar to what I'm feeling now with the incisions and everything. It's just like a chunk of lead sitting right there.
How long have you been, you said you were building a fence. How
Yes.
long have you been involved in this type of work?
I grew up on a farm. I built fence nearly all my life.
Your whole life you've been doing this?
All right.
Yep.
And this was in Jerome, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you said you've been doing this your whole life. Have you ever seen an incident of any type like this before?
No, I've never have. I mean, I've heard of guys getting wrapped up in hydraulic post augers, but I've never heard or seen anything of this.
So how lucky do you feel to be here?
Very lucky.
And is there a reason you haven't looked at the object yet, or you just don't want to know?
I mean, I basically know what it's like. You know, because we've got probably 150 of these around the yard, on loaders, and so I pretty well know what it's like. I just didn't see any need in dwelling on this one.
Do you think you'll ever go back to farming again, or?
Oh, I'm sure I will. I love doing it. I just
So
have to change my mindset and figure out why things happened the way they did.
Are you able to walk around now? Like, how do you?
With a walker, yes.
A walker, and any idea when you'll get to go home?
Possibly this afternoon.
Oh, today.
Yes.
Where do you live? Do you live in Pocatello?
No, we live in Jerome.
You live in Jerome, okay.
Are you expected to make a full recovery? Do you know? Have they told you anything like that?
They haven't said for sure, but I mean, it looks pretty good. With keep hearing how lucky I am and how much progress I'm making, so I can't see why I wouldn't make at least very close to a full recovery.
If you could talk to your coworkers that helped you, the EMS crew that helped you, your doctors here that helped you, what would you like to tell everyone involved in helping you out?
Just a big thank you, because I mean, this could have it could have killed me instantly if it would have hit just a little bit one way or the other, and if it, probably could have crushed my skull, or paralyze me. Very easily could have paralyzed me. So.
What were your first thoughts when you woke up and came to?
I was just trying to figure out where I was still. I could hear a lot of commotion. Then I remember coming to, and I could finally see faces and realize that my family was all there. And then I started getting all the introductions, and still can't remember everybody's name, but
You remember there, right?
I do.
Okay, good.
How was the family? How was mom, and where were you guys when this happened, and how did you react to the news?
I was less than 10 miles away. We're actually on our way out to see him because his 14-year-old works with him, and I was on my way to take him out there. And so when I got the call, one of the coworkers just said, Justin's been hurt. He doesn't want you to drive like an idiot, but you need to get out here. And so I was there within shortly, but the officer stopped me at the driveway and said that I couldn't go back, that Justin had requested me not to see him like that. And so I looked at, and the officer actually happened to be one of our neighbors. And I says, how bad is it? And shoot straight with me. I don't want to, sugarcoat it. And he says, Annie, it's not good. But just have faith and pray. And so that's what we did. We prayed, lots of prayers. And then finally when they got him into the ambulance, because we weren't quite sure at that time if they were going to take him to Twin and have the post removed first or just load him on the helicopter. And I just got to tell him I love him. And then he was completely sedated by that time. And we loaded up on the helicopter and got here. 32 minutes from the time the rotor started in Jerome to the minute they stopped here. So.
And do you know how many minutes from when the pole went in your body till the ambulance arrived? Like how long you were waiting out there?
I haven't heard an actual number, but in my head, putting things together, it was within probably 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes.
It was a little bit of pandemonium around you.
Oh yeah, it was real chaotic.
Is there anything you want to add?
No, not right now. Just thank you to everybody. So.
I got one last question. So you actually have the thing that was inside. Do you think you're going to keep it?
Probably. I mean, it's just a remembrance of, that one time that I was a little careless, obviously. So.
Does something like this change perspective on life, on
Oh,
what you
yeah.
value?
Yeah, it does. It very much does. So.
You were the team on call that night for that?
So I was the trauma surgeon on call that day. Dr. Amarim was the trauma surgeon coming off call. He was on call until 7 in the morning, and he handed the baton to me. And about an hour and a half, I think, into our morning, we were actually still together talking about the patients on service. And fortunately, we got plenty of advanced notice that Justin was injured and was coming in, and the nature of the injury. And that provided us plenty of time to be prepared with an operating room ready to go. We called Dr. Della Rosa in advance as well. He's a cardiothoracic surgeon. Hearing the nature of the injury, the thing that kills most people from these impalement injuries is massive uncontrollable bleeding. And then as a secondary thing, we were worried about his spinal cord. So with the advance notice, we were able to alert our neurosurgeon and have everything ready for when he arrived.
How long was he in surgery for?
Oh, what do you think, 3 hours?
Well, maybe, yeah, about that, 3-4
Yeah,
hours.
3.5 hours, something like that.
And how long did it take to actually get the object out?
Well, a lot of the time was spent very, very carefully positioning him in the operating room because of the object was still left in place. And that's one of the most important things to learn about when dealing with the pre-hospital and the early hospital care of impalement injuries, is not to remove the object that has impaled the person until they're in the operating room and there's proper exposure. So a significant amount of time was spent positioning him safely. And then we actually started our operation with the object in place and dissected down to the object. And we only pulled the object out when we were very well underway in our operation.
How did you position him with, obviously he can't lie down flat. Did you have to have him kind of stand or cut a hole in the bed?
So he was asleep and with a breathing tube in, and ideally we'd like our patients to be right on their back, what we call the supine position. This was not possible because this big object was coming out just to the left of his spinal column, and so he was leaning a little bit onto his right side, and so we had to sort of operate on almost a 45-degree angle down, whereas usually we're operating straight down, which is easier, but that's what the positioning that he needed given his injury.
So what were the first things you guys did when he got to the hospital in terms of taking care of him?
Well, you know, fortunately he's very, very lucky in that
Besides changing our pants.
Yeah. Well, we had enough advance notice we were able to do that, you know. He was very, very lucky in that the object didn't hit any major vascular structures, but we made sure that we had good intravenous access. We had already notified the operating room. They were open and ready to receive Justin right in the operating room. So we started IV fluids. We took a quick chest x-ray of his chest and just make sure his lungs were up. And we basically immediately went to the operating room on the gurney that he was in the helicopter. And we basically transferred him right onto the operating room table and started our procedure from there.
So it was below the rib cage, below the lungs, and hit no major organs on the way.
That's correct. So he was prepped and draped from his collarbones to almost his knees because we weren't sure what we were going to have to do to safely remove this from him. But he got very lucky. The object missed his spinal cord, it missed his aorta, it missed the tube connecting his kidney to his bladder by a few centimeters. Yeah, he got very, very lucky.
Is this one of the worst things you've ever seen as a trauma doctor?
No, it's one of the best things I've ever seen because it was a potentially catastrophic, deadly injury that's going to have a really great outcome.
So when you hear the call, what did you hear? Like, man's been impaled, and then what are you thinking? Like, oh no.
Well, the reports were that they were concerned that it went through his spinal cord and his spinal column, and so that's when we got the neurosurgeon notified. We know as surgeons that the vena cava, the very large vein that runs through your abdomen, and the aorta, the very large artery that runs through your abdomen, run on either side of the spine. And so that's when we called Dr. Della Rosa to be our backup in case we had to do repairs to either of those structures.
So when you see an object of this size in somebody, how lucky would you say he is considering the fact that it didn't really do that much damage to any major parts of the body?
He's extraordinarily lucky. Unfortunately, it damaged part of his colon, but that was fixable, and it's in the process of being fixed now, and he should have a full recovery from that perspective. It missed his spinal cord, and the nerves that come out of the spinal cord and form the nerves that power his left leg by just probably a few millimeters or centimeters. And so I was really concerned until he woke up and got the breathing tube removed. I was concerned that he'd have significant motor problems to his left leg. And fortunately, it seems that he's escaped that risk. So I think with some physical therapy and some rehabilitation, as he said, I'd expect him to make a near full recovery.
Long-term effects?
To be determined. I think it's too early to tell right now, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Was the shape of the object being sharp helpful? If it was more blunt, almost like a rebar or something, would it have done more damage?
No, probably the reverse. I think it was beneficial that it had a nice point to it. So yeah. I mean, if you could say that there's a benefit to the sharpness of the object.
Once it's out and he's sewn up, is there a sigh of relief?
Oh no,
Not really.
we try.
During in the operating
We try not to celebrate too early. I have people thank me often for what we do. And my line is always, don't thank me yet, you know, thank me when I see you in the grocery store in a month or so, you know, doing your normal life. So, you know, we're still not out of the woods yet, so, but so far so good.